Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another ChinWag with me, Richard Phobes, on the 10th of August 2022. Today is a little bit of a questionnaire, really, a survey, if you will. I'm curious how you use YouTube. Now, the reason I ask this is because, well, I am one of those content providers, creators, if you like, and I try to work out when and what is best for the audience when I make the stuff that I make on my other channel as well as this channel. Although mainly the other channel I'm particularly interested in. So my question about the YouTube use is everybody clearly uses it very differently. And so when I first started getting the guru's advice on YouTube in the early days, when you're sort of thinking about creating a channel and how can you maximize everything and how can you get loads of people to see it and get loads of subscribers and all that sort of nonsense, I did find out a certain amount of information, and then since then other successful YouTubers give you bits of advice and tell you what would be a good idea or what works for them, and you listen to that and you assimilate it all and you try all this stuff out, and you've got to then eventually come up with your own way of doing things, naturally, like most things in life. So one of the things that people used to say is have a show, whatever it is, your videos, regularly, and always put them out at the same time whenever it is, whether that's once a week or twice, three times, however many times, always at the same time. And then always put the videos on when you know the audience are online. And then you've got to sort of look at your analytics to work out when that is. And if, people, recent advice has been, well, put it on at about 6 o'clock in the evening. That's when people come home to watch. But I'm not really convinced that that's how people use YouTube these days. For me, if I've got my phone, I might grab it in the morning whilst I'm having a cup of coffee and getting ready for a few things, and just generally scroll through the notifications and see what's new. I never go looking at one of my subscribed channels to see if they've made a video and it's up. Generally, there would be several people who I follow who I know will be putting stuff out very regularly, and I'll be looking, oh yeah, there's one. But I'm not necessarily waiting at whatever time that they've said, we will always put one up at 5 o'clock and it will be there religiously. I'm not there waiting to go, oh, there's there, get in there quick and watch it as they put it up. But that is sometimes the advice, and I think maybe these days people are a lot more relaxed with their usage of YouTube, that they'll just see what's in their notifications on their tablets and on their smartphones, possibly on their computer, although I think that people are probably watching more on their mobile devices rather than on standalone. And then I'm gauging that people will also, and you can correct me because I want to know what you do, we'll look at the duration of a video and think, oh, okay, that's 10 minutes. I'll watch that now as I have a cup of coffee. It's an ideal thing. Or, oh, that's half an hour. I maybe will watch that later on when I get home or when I've got time. What I don't know, and I don't think is happening, and people have told me that this is happening, that people, like on a Sunday afternoon, will, it's a good idea to put a video out on a Sunday afternoon because that's when people sit down and, like in the old days, would watch an old film. Now, I don't think people are like that in this modern era. I think people are too busy and they've got other bits and bobs. They may sit down and watch an old film or an old channel, but I don't think they're necessarily waiting for a YouTube video to turn up and think, oh, that's my Sunday afternoon viewing. Because mostly, from my experience, the YouTube videos are of varying lengths, and it's not like sitting back and watching a Sunday afternoon film, but it might be for you. So this is what I want to know is, how do you use YouTube? What is it that you do? Do you just access it in the morning and work out, oh, there's a few things, I might watch some of those this evening? Do you just watch and go? Are there regular things that you definitely listen to or watch? I listen to some podcasty type videos, so you don't actually need to see what's going on. You just get them going, and then I might be cooking in the kitchen, obviously best place to cook, and be just listening to it in the background. That's often what I'll do. So I'm interested in how you use it. Or do you go to the user's website and religiously wait for the video to come up and press it on there? Does it matter when somebody produces their videos, as long as they're, if you've got a favourite or a series of favourite producers, and that they're going up, do you just sort of go, I wonder who it is? Oh, there, so and so. I mean, that's how I use it. I as I say, I'm not, but people will tell you that you have to do it in this fashion, and that's the way it works. But I think that things are much more relaxed, that it doesn't really matter really what time of day you shove things on. Even if you put it on, I used to put stuff on, well, I still do, in the morning, excuse me, and then I was recently told, well, then it's going to be at the bottom of the notifications. But I find no matter when I pick up the phone, I'll look at it and see what's on now. Because you may not look on the phone, you may look on a TV screen or on your laptop or other things. And I want to know how you watch it. What is the best way that you watch it? Is it on an iPad or is it on a phone? But I'll pick up the phone and I may flick there for 30 seconds or so going, nah, that doesn't interest me now. Yeah, I could watch that now. I've seen that one. I'm halfway through that one, got a bit bored of that. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, there's one. Bang. Do you watch... If it's somebody you enjoy, do you sit through the adverts religiously, knowing that might be helping them? What actually I understand will help them more is if you actually watch the video to the end, if possible, rather than only watching 5 minutes of it and then going off, because I believe that the watch time is a thing. But obviously, if it's boring and you had enough of it, then you've got to either skip to the end or do whatever you do. It's down to the creator to try and keep it interesting. That's what we're all trying to do, and some of us succeed better than others, and some of us have better niches than others. Another question on YouTube usage that I want to ask is, does it matter? Does it matter to you if the content, the niche, varies a little bit? Mine varies quite a bit. Not so much here, because this is just the ChinWag channel, and the Vobe show will be streaming our evening show as well, later on in the autumn probably, when it's dark and the night gets in and we're all got nothing else to do, which will be nice, and lovely Julia will be back with me, hopefully. But in the meantime... what was the question I was asking? It's going a bit scatty here. I wanted, does it matter if the content is just, sometimes it's sort of a bit over here and then sometimes it varies a bit? Or do you prefer a channel that does just what it does? So this channel just does ChinWags and you see it. Or are you able to, if you've got a channel like mine on the Bald Explorer, where I might be doing something with the lovely Julia, we might be on a walk, we might be on a camp out, I might be at home just on my own, I might be doing my own individual walk. Does it really matter? Or should I separate all of those things into separate? Is that what you would prefer? Or do you just scan and go, oh, I can work it out from the thumbnail? You see, I think people can work it out from the thumbnail. They just go, oh, that's Richard and Julia. I'm not so much interested in that. That's Richard in his kitchen. I like the kitchen videos. Yep, I'll watch that one. There's one with Richard and Julia and a bunch of other people going on a walk. Yeah, I quite like those, so I will watch that. So does it really matter if the channel is... the niche is sort of a little bit varied? That's what I'd be interested. Or does that make you subscribe or unsubscribe? The other thing I notice when running the YouTube channel is, the subscription numbers, which isn't hugely important, but it gauges a rough idea of how successful you're going as a channel, how many people have subscribed. You notice that there'll be maybe a flurry of new subscribers, and then so it'll go up to a certain figure, and then often it drops back a couple, and then it goes back up, usually going up. thankfully, but sometimes it goes down, and it's all, I'm always curious. Are you somebody who sits there and just purposely goes, I'll subscribe to that, and then after a while, nope, definitely I mean, I don't. You see, I mean, I'm one of those a bit slightly lazy thing. I subscribe to a lot of stuff. It doesn't mean that I actually watch all of it, or it doesn't actually mean that I even see it come up, even when I've got subscriptions and they don't come up in my general notifications. And I don't know why. So, and often I forget that I've subscribed unless I actually go into the subscribers list and see. So I'm interested to know, how do you use YouTube? I mean, I know there's other people who'd be fascinated to see it, this sort of questions, find out just, on a number of different people, how everybody uses it, because I imagine everybody does it very differently, and that even though you're hoping for the magic answer on the best way of doing it, that actually it's the same sort of thing as if I ask the audience, what should I do about something? And in the past I used to do that with a podcast. I would say, would you like me to be more funny, or would you like me to be more serious? And then you would get this sort of like 50-50 of people going, oh, no, I'd much rather it when you're funny. And then other people go, oh, no, I'd much rather it when you're serious. Oh, I'd much rather when you're ranting about something. And then you go, oh, well, it's such a mixed... So in the end, the advice becomes is never ask the audience, because you're just going to get a whole load of different things and you're no better off. Better to sort of stick with your own idea and go, do you know what, this is what I'm going to do. Then if you find half the audience disappear, well, you can sort of maybe I should have gone down the other route, whatever. But it would be interesting to get a vague idea of how people use YouTube. So please let me know in the comments below. And if you're somebody who never comments, please could you comment on this particular occasion to say, I do watch, I never comment, I've got nothing to say. Yes, I enjoy it, but that I have no reason to comment. And if you are somebody who regularly comments, I'd love to know what induces you to comment. Why? You see, it's very rare for me to comment on somebody else's channel, mostly because I haven't really got anything extra to say. Sometimes if I know the person, it'll be like, well done, yeah, enjoyed that video, well done, that sort of thing. But if I don't know them, I have no huge urgency to say something. I suppose because I make my own content, that I'm saying stuff all the time, so I don't really have that same, as you say, urgency or need. But maybe if you're a viewer, you want to share your view. And of course, shows like this, you've got some idiot in front of you telling you to write a comment. And it's very important for this show that the comments come in. So I'm glad that people do have comments, of course. But I don't. So I'm just curious as what makes you want to comment. So lots of questions for you today to get on with. It's a bit like homework, isn't it, during the summer holidays. Let's have a look at some of the comments from yesterday's and other videos. So, Carl Chapman says, one of your best chinwags yet, this pandemic highlights how the Nazis easily took over Germany in the 30s. Yes, I suppose, when there is a need or a perceived need and the government appear to be giving you the answer, then it's very easy for the everyday person who's got a myriad of other thoughts on their mind, just the sort of getting work done and dealing with the family and surviving, is to think, oh, well, I don't have to think about this because I'll just follow the advice of the mainstream media or the government, and it's so easy to do that. Of course, the thing that an individual should try to do, and that is just evaluate the advice you're given. But often there's so much going on, you just think, oh, it's an easy option. I'll go and get the jab. I'll go and stay inside. I'll go and do all that. Yeah, it must be good for because they wouldn't do it if it wasn't. Well, maybe they're just incompetent sometimes. Ian Dance says, you're bang on there, Richard, about mainstream media having to drum up work by over-dramatising what's going on. Love the chinwags. Thank you very much, Ian. Much appreciated. Ingram Carr says, I have no intention of retiring. Can't think of anything worse. I've always I always have to be doing something worthwhile. When I left my job a few years ago, I took a break for a few months and was climbing the walls with boredom. I'm 53, but like most of us, I'm still 20 inside. Absolutely. And that. I think by just thinking young, we remain young. I think this is where we can easily be influenced. It's that sort of thing. Outside forces can tell us. People do like to, not on purpose, but perhaps in a sort of chivying, happy, jolly way to sort of go, oh, you're a bit of an old man. You know, you've got a bit of sciatica or you're just stiffening up a little bit because you've been sat down for a while, and say, oh, such an old man getting up there. And you get, I don't really need that, thank you. ENG, recently I found myself thinking I should get a tea cosy. Tea cozies, very nice, yes, especially if you can knit it yourself. Steam Chaser says, a Steam Searcher, beg your pardon, David, he says at 63, age 63, and on Sunday we ran out of road a mile from the meetup. Roadworks. Yes, I know exactly the roadworks you're talking about. Yes, a time was ticking, so we walked fast. Also, it was very hot, and we were going to join Richard and the lovely Julia for another 3 miles. I've always cutting things up and bashing bricks. Are you? Bashing bricks. So I'm quite fit. Super day, and even got to push a wheelchair with Richard. Marvellous. Lots of love to everybody, David and Lily. Thank you very much, David. It was lovely to see you on the other day. That video will be out in a few days' time, hopefully. It's all edited, ready to go. Irvine, beg your pardon, Irvine at 70 says, as you've said, if you have a positive outlook, you can feel young. I'm 57. I don't watch TV. I feel that I'm in my 20s. I think I could beat many younger people in a running race. This also may be due to my cycling along the canal for miles and miles. Yes, so great fun cycling along the old canals. And I do think, though, that in this day and age, you know, to contrast what I said the other day, is I do think that we are in a place where we can think of ourselves younger. You know, people say the 50 is the new 40, or is it 60 is the new 40? Because I think if you went back a few generations, when people were reaching, 70 years and 10, it was that perceived thing that you were getting close to the end of your life. Now we do have that ability to live longer than most people, and most people from previous generations. Our health is, well, potentially a lot better. We have so many good things in this life. I think a lot of people do have the self-destruct mechanism built into them, which is a bit of a shame. So they may be eating the wrong things, and perhaps they do get a bit bored because life is easier than it once was. You haven't got to walk 3 miles to work, and then you're not going down a coal face or whatever it might be, you know, real physical labour on the farm, and then walking another 3 miles home and just collapsing and basically just sitting by the fire, sticking something into your mouth, polishing up your boots, and then going to bed, as people used to do. We have a little bit more relaxing time, but maybe sometimes that makes us a bit lazier. But the world of medicine is enabled us to just pop a few pills and keep us living longer. As long as the quality of life, I mean, there's no point living longer if the quality of your life is pretty grim. Mary says, I'm 72. I go to the gym 3 times a week. Blimey, Mary, that's brilliant. I love it. Play tennis, walk 3 times a week. The rest of the time, I look after grandchildren, so I need to be fit. Yeah, I'm not at all surprised. Wow, that is impressive. I love it. I also don't sit for long and find it's best to keep moving. Good for you, Mary. And it's so encouraging, I have to say, when you hear of people of that sort of age group who are busy and doing stuff and not just thinking, oh, what's on the telly. I really love that. That's great. Doodle Sparkle Cleaning says, I'm nearly 48 and my daughter is convinced that I'll be 50 this year. Oh, why does she convince that? Age is just a number. My dad is 80 and still living and singing and is trim and fit. Excellent. Well, this is just so encouraging. He wears brothel creepers. I love the name of those, brothel creepers, and is a bit of a teddy boy still. He walks daily, so exercising is the key with good eating. Absolutely. I mean, the thing is, I think most people know in their mind what they need to do. A friend of mine says to me, and I do laugh, he says, I watch a lot of health videos on YouTube, but I can't be bothered to actually do it myself. And then he'll tell me he's nipped down out into the town, he's had a lovely piece of cake. And then he says, I'm really struggling sometimes with my weight. I'm trying to keep fit, and I want to reduce a bit of weight so I can get these new shirts or trousers or whatever it is into it. And I think, you know those videos with the health videos? Don't just sit and watch them. Maybe not watch any of them and just go out more walking and just not have that cake. It is hard, though, because we get into routines, and sometimes, especially if you're on your own, it's that comfort thing. And I do get it. You know, we can't frown down on everybody. Joe, not sure how you pronounce your name. Joe Frody, might be how you pronounce it. That's how I pronounce it, and I apologise if I've cocked it up. She says, never watch the BBC and mainstream media because it is complete BS. Absolutely. And I'm in awe. Rich M says, my grandmother used to say that I'm the same age as my tongue. I love that. But a bit older than my teeth. Right. I say growing up is inevitable. Growing up, however, is optional. Have fun while you can. Yes, I do think that trying to keep that sort of youthful mind will help keep a youthful body as much as you can. Of course, we're all going to get older and things will droop and all of that. But we can, to a certain degree, I think, control how our body is and how our ability to do things is through how our mind thinks. And I think that's very much a thing. Michael Shaw, love this video, Richard. You've inspired me to move more. All movement is exercise. Absolutely, absolutely do. Stretching particularly is useful. And I don't, some people want to do the very hard running and all of that, but don't go into that if you're not used to it. Walking, even if it's just ambling along, and then and doing some stretches is just wonderful. Jean Lima says, I keep getting your name wrong, don't I? And you did tell me how you pronounce it, and now I can't. You see L's in where they use it as Lima. Is it Lima? I don't know why the Y always confuses me in somebody's name, because I always want to put a Y sound instead of an I sound, but I should know better. Anyway, is it Lima? I think it's Lima, maybe. Maybe there's a glimmer in your Lima. When I retire from an office job in my 60s, I started doing Pilates and aerobics every week. After lockdown and a TKR, I don't know what a TKR is, I go to aqua yoga and aqua fit twice a week. I'm now in my late 70s. Gee, that sounds very impressive. Still do stretching exercises every day. I will never give up exercising as my body needs it. I have a friend who is 87, walks daily, still does Pilates, and has no intention of stopping. I think that is most laudable. That is awesome. Well done to you. Mrs. T says, I swear some people are born middle-aged or old. Yes, I think people do just somehow have that, you look at them and you think, oh golly, they've stiffened up. They may be in their 30s and yet they stiffen up. Nothing is moving. Movement and keeping the joints fluid is so important. These people constantly complaining about aches and pains and why they can't do things. But you also get people who seem to have a very bad luck in terms of their health. And yes, that is very sad, people who have a bit of bad luck. But they adapt and they keep a positive outlook. Just look at the Paralympics. The things those athletes can do puts most able-bodied people to shame. I heard a great quote about age once from... where is it? I heard a great quote from... Well, wait a minute, I've just lost it. I heard a great quote about age from a TV show. Oh, yes. I used to swim every day, Why did you stop? I stopped because I got old. Did you ever wonder whether you got old because you stopped? And yes, absolutely. I think that's very true. Yes, it is amazing. I lost my eye, as most people know. It came out, excuse me, Really annoyed about this throat clearing business, but it's almost gone. It's almost back to normal. Some lingering lurgy. I lost my eye in. I had for 4 years a contracted bug, a canthamoeba, keratitis, I think it's pronounced, in my cornea. Rather nasty thing. And over 4 years, protracted 4 years, I had severe sensitivity to light, lots of stabbing pain that was disabled me dreadfully. I would just collapse to the floor for half an hour with this searing pain in my eye as this bug was eating the cornea. And eventually, I mean, I was on drops and things and under care at Moorfields Eye Hospital, Dr. Dart, very lovely chap. But I had to have 3 cornea transplants, none of which actually managed to stay the course because the bug infected them. And then eventually I had to have the eye removed. And, horrified, really, when I think back that happened. But it is amazing when you're in a situation how you adapt. You just get on with it. And I think the human spirit mostly is absolutely amazing. I don't really, seek any sympathy for having lost an eye. I've still got one very good one. Thank God. I'd rather lose an eye than, say, a leg, because I value my mobility. And I can still see. Yes, I can't see in that field of vision very well. The prosthesis is pretty good. And overall, it's meant that I can carry on with my life and I'm not looking to deform. I mean, the prosthesis really does nothing for me physically other than keep me feeling good about myself, because if the eye wasn't there, it would just sink down and I would be very ugly and people would stare. And it would be always that elephant in the room that nobody knows how to address, and I would be perhaps feeling awkward about it and not wanting to socialise, etc. Whereas this little piece of acrylic that just sits in there, it just makes me look human reasonably, and makes me confident about going out and performing. But that's the thing. You when you're in that stressful situation, whatever it is, you wouldn't want to. I wouldn't want to go through it again. But when you're in that, you just get on with it. You just have to. You just have to get on with it. And the thing that you need to hold on to, and a friend of mine, very good friend of mine, said to me at the time when I was at my lowest, and I was actually suicidal, and I don't say that lightly. But I couldn't go through with it because I knew I had children and they depended on me, and I couldn't, and they would never forgive me, even though I wouldn't be there. He said to me, "It will get better. This will pass." And I held on to that. I was going, "Yeah, I wish it would bloody pass now. I wish it would get better now." But in time is, as they say, that great healer, and it really did pass. And I look back, and when I hear about people, youngsters particularly, who do take their own life because they're incredibly depressed about something, and you just think, if only they'd given it a bit more time. Yes, they may be feeling as low as anything, but in time you come out of that pit and you've got the rest of your life, and there's so many joyous things in life to do and explore and experience, and to cut them off because of something, it's such a shame. So but you're right, Mrs. T. Some people seem to have been born old and have not a positive thing about the world around them. And it's usually those people who haven't actually had to suffer very much, generally, who are the ones that complain the loudest. Those that have had to suffer, basically they can have a wry smile because they know. Thank you for your comments. That's very kind of you. There's plenty more to have a look at, so do go and check them out. But I want to know from you what you think, how you use, and all of that on YouTube. How do you use it? What do you do? How do you watch it? Do you wait for it to come out? And do you get fed up? Do you skip through? Do you watch the advert? All of that info would be really handy. Thank you for watching. Take care, and no doubt I'll be back again tomorrow.